AskReddit asks, what is the craziest encounter of rich kid syndrome that you have experienced?
Girl at work told me she hated her dad. I asked why. She said he keeps asking for money since she used his credit card for a Euro trip and left him an 80 grand bill from last year.
80 grand credit card bill for a vacation? Holy fuckadit. I can see how, but it still seems like you have to try to unless your trip is really long. Although I don't know what I would expect from someone whose dad has a $80,000 plus credit card limit. That's levels of fuck you money I've never put thought into.
So unrelatable I had to read it 5 times before understood what you meant.
First day as a librarian in a private school. Help a 7-year-old with the printer. He offers to tip me.
I like this one because he's not a snot. He's just trying to be polite.
That's one gentleman right there. Damn.
Did you accept it?
Twins in high school. Birthday. I think it was 17. They get matching pickup trucks. Like the supped up larger than life cool as fuck looking black ones. Twin A is the brat. And smashes his in some remarkable time frame. I want to say same day. It was crazy though. Parents decide not to get him another one, though I'm sure insurance probably covered it even if it was his fault, but regardless he is going to learn a lesson. The lesson? Take Twin B's truck, he's the responsible one, and crash it on purpose. If he can't have one, neither can his brother. So much recklessness, spite, and downright illegal in what he did. Follow up. Not sure if he went to prison, etc. I do know he wasn't at school the next year, but he very well could have just dropped out. He was pretty sketchy. Twin B was actually a really good guy, but as soon as his brother was gone he became very quiet. He did eventually get some sort of car, but I remember it was much more toned down to the point I can't remember what it even looked like. But he got something. There weren't many other rich kids at the school. So this whole story stuck out as a huge event when it happened. Humble rich kid. I was a club at my college town and my roommate's new friend who drove a Raptor was at the bar. I started shooting shit and we were getting along, so I offered to buy a Y-bomb, vodka Red Bull shot. Being as wealthy as he said, "You don't have to do that, man, save your money. Round will be on me." I explained to him it didn't bother, I was having a good time, and insisted I buy the shot. Immediately after that, he pulls out a black Amex and purchases the nicest VIP booth in the club, around $3K. Then ask what drink packages they have and ask if he could buy 2 bottles on top of Max package. Looks at me and goes tit for tat. Safe to say I don't recall much after that.
I went to college with a guy who totaled 5 Mustangs in a year. I don't think he was sober enough to remember any of them.
I went to high school with a guy who totaled an Escalade that he got for his 16th birthday. So his parents bought him a Mustang Cobra that he totaled after a few months. So they bought him a classic Corvette and he died when he wrecked it a few weeks later. I feel bad for the parents. Because I can't imagine what it's like to lose a kid. But at the same time, he very thoroughly proved that he's not a safe driver. Why keep buying him cars, and on top of that powerful, and progressively less safe ones? At least he doesn't give up.
My personal favorite was in college. Kid down the hall from me bought a brand new Fender Stratocaster and played with it for a day and got bored and sold it to me case and all for $20. I still have it and play it 15 years later. It's a great guitar. When I was in college, a friend that was heavy in the frat life told me about a freshman that got kicked out for having a servant flown to town to do the hazing chores he was supposed to do.
Don't talk to him. He'll think he's people.
Imagine being the one on the plane getting flown in. Playing neighbor. So what brings you to Seattle this time of year? Quote.
One time a college dorm mate next door was stressing his dad hadn't yet given him money for the month. And $1,000 wasn't going to last him for the week. Meanwhile, I'm having to donate plasma to afford my next meal. Life just be like that.
One of my flatmates in uni was a Chinese girl who asked us all if our washing was being done. She just threw all her clothes and towels outside her room door and was expecting them all to magically get cleaned. That was an eye-opener. Brew, I try to live off less than $1,000 per month.
Teacher here. 2 spring to mind. And #X200B1. My first teaching job was at a private middle school in one of the wealthiest enclaves in the United States. I taught a kid who told me he didn't finish his homework because his helicopter had stalled over the weekend, so he couldn't leave his family's island. He was telling the truth. Same kid was also a huge pain in the ass who wanted to misbehave with the cool kids, and then would lie through his teeth while crying when held accountable. His parents knew he was a jerk and cared enough to bring me a case of wine from their vineyard as a gift every parent-teacher conference or before the holidays. But they didn't care enough to discipline the kid. 2. I now teach at a private school in Europe, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked by how many parents are happy to pay $35K per year to dump the kids into boarding so they can do fuck all as students and repeat grades 1, 2, 3 times because they don't make any effort whatsoever.
80 grand credit card bill for a vacation. Holy fuckadit. I can see how, but it still seems like you have to try to unless your trip is really long. Although I don't know what I would expect from someone whose dad has a $80,000 plus credit card limit. That's levels of fuck you money I've never put thought into. Must have been a good Euro trip.
There was this rich kid in our class who was literally disgusted by us buying used stuff, like computer parts, on eBay. Once during conversation I said I bought on eBay memory module for my PC and said to me that I should have a little dignity. And if I buy used stuff I should keep it to myself.
I know a garbage man that works in rich neighborhoods and takes out trash around move-out time for the uber-rich kid university. Every year, he finds 200 to 300 game consoles, the newest ones, and sometimes desktop PCs. The kids don't want to take them home. They just throw them all out. He makes a good approximately $40K a year on eBay. He just cleans stuff up and sells it. Nice supplementary income. Laughs in $10,000 used car.
A 14-year-old in full volume cursing meltdown. Where the fuck is he? Exclamation mark. Question mark. Question mark. Quote question mark. Because the pilot of the private helicopter that had brought him there had gone off to get a cup of coffee. The kid was done skiing for the day and found it totally unacceptable that he had to wait 10 minutes before he got flown home.
That poor pilot. I hope he wasn't fired over a cup of coffee.
Lol, he can get a new job if he wants. Heli pilots do not give a flying fuck.
I was that poor kid who ended up getting a scholarship to a ridiculous private school. The one thing that stood out massively for me was probably how much people cared about what everyone else's parents did. Like your parents' achievements counted for yourself. My daddy just brought a new plane. Yes, a literal statement. So what does your dad do? When I replied, fuck all, they laughed and thought I was being cool about it.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I know a garbage man that works in rich neighborhoods and takes out trash around move-out time for the uber-rich kid university. Every year, he finds 200 to 300 game consoles, the newest ones, and sometimes desktop PCs. The kids don't want to take them home. They just throw them all out. He makes a good approximately $40K a year on eBay. He just cleans stuff up and sells it. Nice supplementary income.
At my uni, some Saudi kid left an Audi in the parking lot when he went back home. Got towed, impounded, and when called he said he didn't give a shit. So it got sold at auction to recoup all the impound fees.
Good on him for selling that stuff to people who want them rather than just taking the lazy route of taking it all to the dump.
I like this one because he's not a snot. He's just trying to be polite.
Haha. It's super innocent. Like, kid doesn't know. He's just trying to be like the grown-ups he has grown up around. Closing parenthesis dot.
He just doesn't get when to tip socially. LMAO. That's the cutest thing I've seen in this thread. He's copying the niceness of his rich parents and just wants the librarian to feel appreciated.
A girl in my school was surprised by her parents in the school's parking lot with a new BMW. A freaking BMW. Everyone who is out is basically watching this go down and she starts crying. At first we are all thinking it's because she's so happy, but then she runs back into the school. Apparently they were supposed to show up earlier, I'm assuming when there would be more students to witness the surprise. I felt bad for the dad because he looked totally embarrassed and sad about it. You know, in his head he's like, I created this monster. And #X200B.
Sorry, but that's what the dad gets for trying to stunt and flex on a bunch of kids. And for what? He could have presented the gift at home. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I really want a classic Jaguar E-Type convertible, but annoyingly you can only get second-hand ones.
You need to tell them you can get new ones. Expensive as hell, but it's possible. The hand build them with modern equipment for the enthusiasts that want the old car without old car problems.
An E-Type is the sort of car I'd happily buy a cheap kit of and put a barra in it. Simply for the lack of classic English electromechanical nightmares those things came with.
At least he doesn't give up.
Must be an ex-post from motivation. Sounds like a 5-0 man.
My college roommate's mom gave him fucking $1,400 for the weekend, just randomly. He blew through the whole thing by Saturday, asked his mom for more money and was screaming at her because she promised $1,400 for the weekend, and he spent most of what she gave him on Friday, which isn't a part of the weekend. Damn, what do you even spend $1,400 on in one day? Besides clothes, shoes. Edit. Seems like this comment kinda blew up. Consensus says cocaine, haha.
Ex-girlfriend's friend said to me, "Can you believe there are people who have never been on a private jet?" Quote ? Yeah, I'm one of them.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and above all, have an excellent day, you wonderful people.